Hey, what's up, guys? On today's episode of the Locked On Knicks podcast, we are doing a deep dive on how the New York Knicks dropped game one, making a case for the bench to get more time, and a run through on each individual player and what they excelled at and what they struggled with in game one of the Indiana Pacers series.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Gavin Schall. I'm a credentialed media member that has been covering the New York Knicks for nearly a decade, and also your Saturday co-host of the Locked On NBA podcast. In case you didn't know, this is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Your daily podcast on the New York Knicks, giving you the most detailed insight on your favorite team at least 5 days a week. Recently, it's been more like 10 times a week. So be sure to join thousands of other Knicks fans and subscribing on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. On today's show, I take some solace, because I'm a weirdo, in knowing why something terrible happened. And I would say, at least in the context of sports, game one was about as bad as it gets. So I wanted to challenge some of the assumptions I had last night, which was more of an emotional reaction to it, and run through the last 5 minutes of this game and figure out how the Knicks were ended up blowing a 17-point lead in this one. So we're going to do a deep dive, go through every single play, assign some blame, assign some credit. It'll be a lot of fun if you are a masochist or a little self-hating, or if you like good basketball analysis. And then we're going to go into the success of the bench units for the New York Knicks, where they performed really well in this one, and then a deep dive on each and every player in this game, and what they did well and what they struggled with. But before we get into all that, I want to remind you that today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All right, guys, without further ado, let's get into it. All right, so the death sequence, I started this Anatomy of a Fall is probably what I should title this opening segment. It starts off, Cat makes that three to make it 111-94. Jalen Brunson comes in. They actually get a great initial play there. Mikal Bridges, or this was a couple plays in, but Mikal Bridges had an isolation on Ben Shepherd with everyone standing outside the paint. Turner was out of the game. Easy two, 113-98. All right, so let's pick up from there. 4:36 to go in this one. You get Brunson and Cat in an action with Hallie and Aaron Nesmith on defense, right? They're running a pick and pop, but Indiana does something really smart here. They bring up Cat's guy to set a second screen on Jalen Brunson, right? So initially, I kind of misspoke there. It was Mikal and Brunson in the initial action, but then they bring Cat in with the second screen. JB is trying to recover cross court to Nesmith. He's not able to. The verdict on that one, it was just a great play call by Indiana, right? Like that's good offense. And Brunson, we've seen it all playoffs long, has struggled with hedge and recovers. Maybe if that's a clean switch and you have Mikal Bridges being the guy who tries to race cross court to get to Nesmith, maybe you're able to get a stop there. But that is a really challenging play. It was a great job by Indiana. At that point, you're still up by 12, right? You're in good position. And the offensive end of the floor was almost the more interesting part of this, because I felt like we had a pretty accurate grasp of what happened defensively. Offensively, I think Alex and I's initial assessment, I know, as we talked about it last night, was that the Knicks made a bad mistake, right? Just taking the air out of the ball, ISO Brunson. And I think we reacted that way because we've seen that go wrong so many times for the Knicks this season. We saw it go wrong at times in the Pistons series where he was a little bit too ball dominant. And it doesn't feel right? You want your offense to look like Indiana. You want everyone to be touching the ball. You want a little kumbaya feeling going on, and that is not what the Knicks did. They saw Ben Shepherd on Brunson. They said, you are going to cook my guy. So with 4:20 left, and we're going to find out why that our negative assessment of that might have been wrong. Brunson misses a step back three. OG has a putback that I referenced last night that is just an absolute bunny, right? He's like 2 feet away from the rim, somehow goes in and out. It was just not OG's night. But then Mikal Bridges ends up getting the rebound, kicks it out to OG, who misses a right wing three. Cat gets another offensive rebound. He bullies Thomas Bryant. Pascal meets him at the rim and and he has basically like a Michael Jordan, Julius Erving style hanging up and under. It is probably one of the most athletic plays this side of Zion Williamson I've seen from a player that is 250. I mean, Cat's probably over 270 pounds realistically plus. Just ridiculous from Cat. That makes it 115 to 101. So you're in a great position there. We fast forward about 20 seconds. Excuse me, I skipped the defense. 402, OG coming up the court, dumb reaching on Tyrese Halliburton, trying to make a play. It's called. The Knicks are in the penalty. Halliburton goes 1 for 2. Doesn't hurt you too badly. That made it 115 to 102. All right, go back to offense. 3:44 to go. Brunson takes the shot clock down to 6 seconds left. Goes for a pull-up on Ben Shepherd, and I know we all hate the whistle in some cases with great reason. The goaltend was obviously BS. The Knicks got at the end of this game. In some ways, they got a generous whistle because that was a soft, foul for that situation. Brunson just goes 1 for 2. If he makes both, that is a great play for the Knicks. As it is, still in a good spot. You're up 116 to 102. All right, 3.5 minutes to go. Obi Toppin misses a 3, but Cat can't get the rebound. That's a rebound you end up getting. The Knicks, presumably, butterfly effect. Who knows how everything else goes? Presumably, you win the game. That's one of those inflection points where you could have ended the game. Instead, the Pacers get it back. Nesmith runs a pick and roll with Obi. Mikal just sort of dies on the Obi screen. But I think he is thinking, rightfully, based on what we assume the Knicks are running there, that is a switch. So it's kind of okay for him to die on the Obi screen. Doesn't get around. Cat is in a completely different page. He's in drop. Nesmith drains a 3. It's 116-105 at that point. It was just not great situational D by Mikal Bridges because you probably would rather give up the roll. But if Cat executes the switch correctly, then Mikal did nothing wrong there, right? You cannot be upset at Mikal for making the switch, because if not, it's an easy 2 for Obi, and you're saying why they blitzing Hallie, which is or Nesmith. Maybe they could have blitzed Nesmith. Maybe that would have worked better. I don't know. The point is, it wouldn't have worked either way because Cat was in drop for whatever reason. Can't explain it. All right, go back to offense. 2:51 to go. Jalen Brunson takes the clock down to 7 seconds left and hits a isolation 3 on Ben Shepherd. At that point, it is 119-105. And that is when we get to the idea that, what was it? It was 444-0. Yeah, you're up by 14 with 2:50 to go. So despite all the crap that happened earlier, the mistakes I previously noted, you are still in just a spectacular spot at that point. Only takes Indiana 6 seconds to come back down the court. Tyrese Halliburton immediately gets into an ISO on Mikal Bridges. He rejects a Obi Toppin screen. Mikal is playing him for the drive. He gets wrong-footed. Hallie dices him up. Step back deep 3, 119-108. My assessment of that one is it was bad defense by Mikal Bridges. I don't think it was awful defense. It is tricky to guard Halliburton, who's so good at changing pace. Again, it is mostly about the situational awareness, and that Mikal Bridges at his best defensively, which on the pod last night I said he was phenomenal on defense. Watching back, I don't think that. I think he was very up and down on that end of the floor. Mikal at his best should be able to slide with Tyrese Halliburton if there's no screen there, right? Like he should be able to handle him one-on-one about as well as anyone in the league that did not make an all defensive team this year, right? And instead gets wrong-footed. Hallie hits a great shot. Ideally, Mikal Bridges up in his chest. So it's an 11-point game. You fast forward back to offense. 2.5 minutes to go in this one. It is a Brunson Cat pick and pop. Cat is open for 3 or for a drive after you took the shot clock down. Brunson ignores Cat, and that was a general frustration that, one, they didn't play more out of a 2-man game with those two when Obi Toppin's on the ball. You'll hear Alex make this point on our podcast tomorrow with Bailey Lau, but like, one, Cat on Obi is arguably the bigger mismatch than Brunson going at Shepherd. 2, you get the opportunity to get Obi switched onto Brunson, and that should be food for Jalen Brunson. Instead, the Knicks just try to space the floor. They don't want to involve a second guy. They don't want to risk Brunson getting blitzed. Again, I ask, if it's Cat, you should be okay with Brunson getting blitzed, because then Cat can either hit a 3 or attack a scrambled defense. Brunson doesn't make that pass, calls his own number, 3 balls in and out. Ideally, he gets the ball to Cat in that situation. If the 3 goes in, no one's questioning it. Everyone's saying that's Jalen. That's our GOAT. Great shot. He misses instead. All right. We're going to step aside there for just a sec. When we come back, I'm going to finish up taking you through the final 2.5 minutes of this game, of this nightmare. This might be a trauma response for me, something to talk to with my therapist, but we'll take you through the end of it before we get into some more optimistic notes on the bench and we deep dive on everyone else on the team. We'll get into that in just a sec here on Locked On Knicks. But first, I want to tell you about our friends over at FanDuel. The NBA playoffs are in full swing, and every night delivers highlight-worthy performances, major momentum shifts, and can't-miss moments. Whether it's a game-winning shot or a breakout player, there's never been a better time to get in on the action. FanDuel makes it easy to stay in the game before tip-offs and live with player prop performance trends and same-game parlays. Fans have more ways than ever to play smart and win big. You might want to do something that I generally call a reverse jinx, and that is in the most important games of my life. I've generally not done this because it feels a little bit like a loser mentality, but I've been tempted in the games where I live and die with. I'm like, why don't I just put $100 on the team I don't want to win? And then if the team I'm rooting for, in this case, the Knicks win, great. $100 well spent. I would spend more than $100 for the Knicks to win game 2. And if you lose, maybe you get like, I don't know, like $225, $230. You make $130 in net profit. That's pretty good. All right. New to FanDuel. It's the perfect time to sign up. Head to FanDuel.com and place your first $5 bet. If it wins, you'll get $200 in bonus bets. You could just also use that to bet against or for the Knicks. So make every moment more. FanDuel, official sports betting partner of the NBA. All right, what up, guys? We are back here on Locked On Knicks live edition. Thank you so much for tuning in. We are going through the brutal. It's like reading out a crime scene report of how the Knicks were murdered at the end of this game. We pick up with 2:15 to go. It is a Hallie Shepherd pick and roll. Jalen Brunson thinks it's a switch. Mikal Bridges thinks it is a hedge and recover situation. Both stick with Hallie as Shepherd dives on a short roll, catches it, drives to the rim to prevent a layup. Josh Hart has to make the long rotation, which Josh Hart, give him credit, he was not aware off the ball when Aaron Nembhard or Andrew Nembhard, I'm getting those guys always confuse me, back cut him in overtime. This time he is on track. He rotates off Nesmith to help on Shepherd, sprays to Nesmith. Brunson's slow to get out there, and it is ultimately a 3 for Nesmith to make it 119-111. Ideally, again, like this has just been an issue for the Knicks all season long. I mentioned on the pod last night. I mentioned it in our pre-series pods. The Knicks have had communication issues, and Indiana is probably the team in the NBA, maybe along with the Cavs, but I would argue Indiana even more, that is most equipped to punish a team that is not on the same page defensively. And the Knicks down the stretch of this one were either wrong, like both guys were wrong, or were just not on the same page defensively, or poor effort. It was a couple different things rearing their ugly head. In this case, it was just Brunson and Mikal not on the same page, as best as I can tell. Because if you switch it, then it's Mikal racing cross court, and with his length, he is a better chance to get out there on Nesmith. Maybe it's a pump and he flies by and it doesn't work out anyways, but presumably Mikal Bridges would have had a better chance of making that play. And you give the Pacers credit again, because it's very tough when they're 5 out and they run a pick and roll between a wing that can dive quickly and Tyrese Halliburton. That is going to stretch your defense to the breaking point. And if Indiana makes smart, quick passes, odds are that ends in an open 3, but the Knicks certainly could have covered it better. All right, go back to the offensive end of the floor. It's 119-111. You're still up by 8. Brunson takes the clock down, backing down Ben Shepherd. Obi doubles with 11 on the shot clock. Brunson passes it to Cat, immediately comes up to get it back. Brunson has Mikal in the post on Tyrese Halliburton. And I would have loved if he just went to Mikal. We saw, you go back to the Celtics series, right? That game 2 win was all about Brunson trusting Mikal, even with Drew Holiday on him, to go and make a play. And I thought that was such a big point of growth from Jalen Brunson. And in this case, he does not want to make that pass. Maybe he's worried that Halliburton steps in front and steals it. Anyways, seemingly an easy bucket there, pass it up. Instead, he keeps it, drives it, draws 3, flips it to Hart, who rotates over to Cat, gets a decent look at a 3 as the shot clock expires, 119-111. And this goes back to the idea that we talked about with Boston, where it is not always about getting the highest point value shot in these situations. It is about getting the one that has the highest percentage of going in. I know that's a little confusing, so I'll try to explain it a little bit further. Basically, let's just say a cat 3 has an expected value of 1.4 points, and Mikhail posting up Halliburton has an expected value of 1.2 points. You would think the cat shot is the better shot, and yet in that situation, when you're up by 8, I would argue the Mikhail shot is the better shot because you have the better chance of getting something versus nothing, because he is still going to shoot a higher percentage than Cat is going to shoot from 3. I hope I explained that well. A little bit of a confusing concept. Anyways, 95, you get the miss, still up by 8. 95 seconds to go. Tyrese Halliburton pushes. Bridges slides with him until an OB screen. Then Cat actually makes a clean switch onto him. Credit Cat. Cat shuts him down. Credit Cat. He has to spray it out. Hart, bad foul on Siakam driving with 6 in the shot clock. Siakam bails him out, though, going 1 for 2 from the free throw line. That's fine. You can give up 1 point. 119, 112. 1:15 to go. Hart stalls. Then it's a dribble handoff to Brunson near half court. Again, you're just getting into your action, I think, a little bit too late. 2 go to Brunson. Hart should have rolled to the rim. He just kind of hangs around there. Doesn't allow, or excuse me, it does allow Hallie to just show on Brunson and then recover. Ultimately doesn't matter because Brunson just cooks Ben Shepherd. Siakam tries to help late. Brunson, great finish, switches hands. 121 to 112. This would be an interesting case for having Deuce in the game at this point, because that action is a lot more compelling if Hart's not going to roll with Deuce in there, because Deuce can just kind of pick and pop in that situation. He's probably getting a wide open 3. We saw Cleveland do that to the Knicks in the regular season. All right. You're up by 9. Again, you should win the game at this point. Less than a minute left, and you're up by 9. 58 seconds to go, though the Pacers have done this twice in the playoffs, so what do I know? Pascal pushes up the floor, hard dribble into OG, dislodges him a little bit, a dribble handoff to Nesmith. OG doesn't get up. It's a 3 for Nesmith, 6-point game. This is just a total lack of situational awareness for OG Anunoby. For him to sit back, he's presumably either he's not thinking and he's being lazy. That's what Bailey thinks. We'll talk about it tomorrow. If he is thinking, then he's thinking, all right, Siakam could roll here, and I got to take that away because Brunson's going to have no chance. Again, if you end up giving up a 2, that's fine. Plus, you have Cat to rotate over as the low man, and Nesmith is red hot. So whatever you're doing, OG, even if it ends up with 2 on the ball, you better be on the level and taking away the red hot shooter from shooting a 3 and trusting that even if you overcommit to running at him and he gets by you, that is better than him taking a 3. So that is just all-time bad D by an all-time great defender. 51 seconds to go. The Knicks break the press. They get a 3-on-2. That's the Cat to Mikhail give and go. Layup. Argument, you could have taken more clock. I am fine. If you have a sure thing layup, which we'll talk about in a sec, because the Knicks thought they did again and they didn't, and it works out, it's fine, especially when you're missing free throws the entire night. Other end of the floor, 10 seconds go by in total from the start of the previous possession. That's not enough. Siakam brings it up the court. Little dribble handoff again to Nesmith. OG again is sitting way back. It's 123, 118. After this play, screaming match on the sideline. We talked it through. Again, you'll hear that tomorrow, but I don't get how OG was blaming that on Cat, unless in his mind there was some other coverage there, but it seems like sour grapes from OG, frankly. He, again, needs to be at the level. I don't know if he was sick. I don't know if he was hurt. It is mystifying that he misses that. 34 seconds to go. Hart calls a timeout because they can't get the ball, and that was when the screaming match happened. Then the Knicks actually run strength of Tom Thibodeau, a really nice sideline out of bounds play to get Jalen Brunson open, and it's a great, again, wide receiver move from Brunson to basically drop Ben Shepherd, coming downhill, 2-on-1. Could have dribbled and taken at least a couple more seconds and got fouled. Instead, throws a tough bounce pass to OG. OG fumbles it. You all saw the play. Challenge, Pacers ball. In real time, last night, we blamed that on OG not catching it. I still think I'm surprised he doesn't catch that. It's ultimately on Jalen Brunson, right? You have the ball in your hands. You're the captain. You're Captain Clutch. You should know that you can make 2 free throws in that situation. If you're going to make the pass, it better be soft and easy, and you better know for sure no one's there. And if OG gets a dunk in that situation, it's ultimately an okay pass. But you are risking it, and we've seen Brunson do this in a lot of late game situations, and people forget it because of all the shot making, where I think he's just exhausted mentally, and he takes these crazy, crazy risks. That was one of them, and it totally backfires. But he throws a bounce pass that bounces way too high. If that's a soft shuffle to OG Anunoby, he's dunking it, fine. but just dribble the clock, shoot your free throws, don't overcomplicate it. Defensively, Hart, other end of the floor, 28 seconds ago, Hart slips, chasing Neesmith. It's a Pacers 3. It's 123, 121. Bad luck. Get some new shoes, Josh. Not the worst of these plays. 22 seconds to go. A risky inbound. Still a thing somehow. Brunson can't get open. No one else is there. This was like deja vu of the Maxey play where he slipped and ended in the Devo 3 last year in game 1 or game 2, maybe. Brunson somehow, or sorry, this was, I'm fast forwarding a play. This was the sideline inbounds where Hart slips, able to recover it. Brunson splits a double team, sprays it to Cat. He's fouled. He goes 1 for 2, 124, 121. Outside of not being able to get a clean inbound, this was fine. You know, Cat's your best free throw shooter. You're more comfortable with Jalen Brunson shooting it, but that was whatever. Goes 1 for 2. All right. Other end of the floor. OG foul. You're up by 3 at that point. It's 124, 121. Other end of the floor. OG fouls Neesmith. Second comes off the clock. Ideally, you take more time. I think it's very different than the Denver-Oklahoma City situation because they were in the front court. Aaron Neesmith was in the middle of the best shooting fourth quarter in the history of NBA playoff basketball. So fine, stop him from taking a 3. You make your free throws, you still win the game. I'm fine with that. 12 seconds left. Jalen Brunson, this is the play where they couldn't get it in. Panic inbounds. Pacers pressure him. No foul called. You're not going to get bailed out in that situation. The Hart and Brunson put themselves in a bad spot. Tibbs puts them in a bad spot, not having a better play, not having anyone else up. OG gets fouled. It could have been worse. Makes one free throw. It is 125, 123. And then the last play of the game. This was the one I was most interested in talking about because it was just fascinating. Hallie toasts McHale. It's a great switch by Mitch. And once McHale's beaten, smartly executes a peel switch to go on to, I believe it was Miles Turner. OG, meanwhile, is in La La Land, completely spacing out. Aaron Neesmith back cuts him. If Halliburton makes a quick pass, Neesmith probably gets a layup. But this is, to Mitchell Robinson's credit, he is intimidating to the point that Halliburton does not want to throw that pass, fearing Mitch will somehow recover and block it, which is crazy that he thought that was even possible. But because OG allows that back cut, it causes Mitch to stall for a second to honor that pass might be thrown, and that gives Halliburton time to backpedal. Mitch makes an incredible play to still get out on it, and Halliburton hits the shot of a lifetime. But I saw a stat today from Tom Habistro that indicates that is actually not that crazy. Halliburton on the season, 12 for 14 on shots that tie or go ahead in the final 2 minutes of games. With a bunch of threes in there, his effective field goal percentage in those situations is 107%. So as much as Jalen Brunson is him, and maybe Knicks fans cover your ears, Tyrese Halliburton, as corny as he might be, is unfortunately him as well. Crazy shot, tip your cap, ridiculous. I'm not going to go through overtime because I don't want to torture you guys more, and because it would probably end up being an hour and a half pod. I didn't leave a lot of time for it, but we'll quickly run through the nights everyone else had and talk about all that in just a sec here on Locked On Knicks. All right, first thing I want to do is, I don't think it's going to happen, but very quickly advocate for more time with the bench units and the Knicks not closing with the starters. If you missed it last night, the starters were minus 16 in 25 minutes. I've said it ad nauseum. They have been a negative all playoffs. So that's obviously bad. Here's what the Knicks did with two of my preferred bench lineups. The second quarter, they had that Payne, Deuce, McHale, OG Cat lineup that ripped off, I believe it was a 13-1 run. And if you go to Cleaning the Glass or any similar website and you look at the Knicks lineup data on the year, when you have combined Cat plus Deuce plus Payne and then any modicum of defense, and in this case, two other shooters in Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby, right? A rare 5-out lineup for the New York Knicks. Things go incredibly well. But just look at that trio. Payne, Deuce, Cat always seems to win their minutes. That was the trio, if you remember the game in Minnesota where they went on that insane second quarter run and Cat went off. It was with those two on the floor. And I think both wings, if I'm remembering correctly. On the season, 106 possessions of that group, a plus 32 net rating, 139.5 offensive rating. That is 100th percentile. The plus 32 net rating is 100th percentile lineup. Their defensive rating, allowing just under 108 points per 100 possessions. very good, 94th percentile. Tom Thibodeau, look at the numbers, my guy. Knicks analytics department, clockwork orange him if you have to. Like, make him believe he needs to play that lineup. He needs to play cat with shooters. He needs to sometimes trust it down the stretch of games, even if you want Jalen Brunson in place of one of those two guards. But that is a winning group. The group that went on the, 14-0 run after Brunson came out, Deuce, Hart, OG, double big. That is the first time all season that lineup is played, except for one possession of the regular season. We've not seen that group the rest of the playoffs. Go back to it. Obviously, there are, maybe not obviously, because you could say small sample size, but it seems to me that there is something there. OG plus double big plus Deuce at the point of attack plus Hart. That is 5 incredibly strong dudes, and really, outside of Cat and sometimes Hart, really smart defenders and enough offense. That is a winning formula for the New York Knicks. I would try that group again. All right. Let's very quickly go through everyone. Jalen Brunson, I'm going to start off on his defense. I don't know if he got enough criticism for his defense in this one. Obviously, in overtime, he was in a lot of foul trouble. So you maybe give him an out there, or you maybe say, hey, Tom Thibodeau, maybe just stick with Deuce McBride. I know that's crazy. I know that's maybe playing the results, but Brunson couldn't defend. You were playing 5-on-4 out there because he didn't want to foul out. And there were just a bunch of mistakes early in the game. Like him and McHale had that bot switch early that led to a Halliburton layup. Nesmith put a 3 in his eye when he was just not paying attention off a quick inbound. That was like lazy and sloppy. Had a play where he switched on to Obi, gave him an offensive rebound and a layup. Tried to hedge and recover. Well, okay, we mentioned the stuff at the end of the game, so I won't get into that. But the defense was bad from Jalen Brunson. Was very successful. Guys who were described as Brunson stoppers, right? Nembhard, Nesmith, Brunson went at them all night. It got into a little bit of a lower body part that I can't say measuring contest at a certain point, or a pissing contest. I think I can say that between him and Nesmith, and Brunson got frustrated and he picked up a stupid offensive foul. That was incredibly frustrating. The 2-man game between him and Hart early was good. One play where like the Pacers defense was just leaning towards him and he like quickly got off it to set up Hart to drive a gap and draw a foul. Another one where Hart hit him on just a brilliant pass on a back cut. Him and McHale ran some good off-ball stuff. Like Tom Thibodeau, underrated part of this game because rightfully no one's talking about it. Tom Thibodeau ran a lot of good action early in this game. That was exceptionally successful for the Knicks. And the Knicks credit our guy Shax for these numbers. Scored really well on organized offense throughout this game. My favorite play of the night from JB was actually one where he didn't score. It was when he took the ball up the court, ran the pick and roll with Mitch, actually threw the lob, actually for once gave Mitch a perfect lob. Mitch caught and dunked it. Anytime Mitch catches a pick and roll lob, my heart sings. And I think an angel, a blue and orange angel gets their wings. Had that beautiful pump fake step through zip to OG Anunoby late in the shot clock for a jam. I love anytime when Brunson does that. Again, play a little bit smarter. I hope there's more hunting of Tyrese Halliburton, because as much as he wants to embarrass Nembhard and embarrass Nesmith, and he doesn't like those guys, just 14 times in this game, this stat from Zach Lowe, where Halliburton had to guard a pick and roll. On the other end, Indiana was much more effective targeting Brunson in volume. There were 34 times in this game where Brunson had to guard a pick and roll. So ideally, the Knicks get that number up for Halliburton, return the favor, and hunt him. I think that would be really easy offense for him, or hunt Obi Toppin wherever he is. Anytime he's on the floor, the Knicks can be a little bit more aggressive and pointed about doing that. Very good in 2 pick and rolls with Mitch down the stretch, scoring on Mathurin twice early in the fourth quarter before he went out with that dumb 5th foul. Stay out of foul trouble. Cat was incredible in this game. I'm going to try to sum it up because there's so many individual plays I can highlight. Offensively, defensively, he was abysmal in the first half. He was back to regular season Cat. Looked like he had bricks on his feet. Just was not moving well, was spacey. Gave Turner open mid-range shots over and over again. Was a big reason Indiana got off to that 9-for-9 start, and yet he was keeping the Knicks in it offensively. It was a reason, despite that, the Knicks were still up at the end of the first quarter of this one somehow, some way. Like Turner wasn't high enough a few times, and Cat said, "That's awesome. I'm going to put a 3 in your eye." It was offensive rebounding like a madman because he had a center on and was able to facilitate at the top of the key again because there wasn't a center around the rim at all times. The Knicks had genuine spacing. I wonder if Indiana goes to something we talked about pre this, something every other team does, and puts a wing on him in game 2. But it was fun to see him passing the ball from the top of the key again, hitting Hart at one point for a drive and flipping, posting up Miles Turner. He was successful doing that. Hit another trail 3 off of a Hart steal. It was just an incredible start from him. My favorite catch shot of the game outside that up and under, which was just dirty. He had a catch in transition where he actually made the extra pass. Cat rarely makes the extra pass to Payne, relocates, Turner comes to him, and Cat was so hot at that point. It's a 1 foot off balance three that you would typically see someone take an all-star game. It was like a BS clown school shot, and he still made it 13-1 run at that point, or maybe it's 10-1. I can't remember. It was 54-46. That was amazing. Alex mentioned this last night, but he's good passing out double teams. I thought he kept his head. He consistently made the right play. Really good sequence during that extended 14-0 run. Got fouled on the three, and then he had the play where it was stolen away. He got it back, hit the long jump hook, the reverse layup, airballed the three, hit a three in there, and then didn't really hit the ball down the stretch, which is dumb. Mikal Bridges, again, the organized offense was really smart for him. They had him screening for Brunson off the ball, and then two would go with Brunson, and then he would just spin in, get a layup. That's an action Tibbs has run a decent amount the second half of the season. It's been working really well for him. There's another one where he off-ball screen for JB. Both go with Brunson again, and Cat hits him on, I believe, a 45 cut to the middle of the floor for a midi over Siakam. Another one where he cuts hard off the handoff for Mitch. Mathurin was trailing him. Jetson for a layup. Two-play sequence where he walls up Obi on one end and then puts a fadeaway in his eye. Favorite play of the game for Mikal Bridges. Puts a nasty move on. Gets Mathurin in jail on a pick and roll, curling around Mitch on a handoff. Again, him and Mitch, great chemistry between those two. And I can't remember if he's done this year. A double crossover on Miles Turner that just freezes Turner into a reverse layup. Beautiful play. Had another putback. I set up Payne for a three with a Nash dribble and a spray. We mentioned the late shot over Shepherd. Had another one where he cooked Hallie on an ISO into a high arcing layup over Neesmith. I hope the Knicks just continue to punish. If Tyrese Halliburton starts this game on him, I'm pretty surprised they didn't start him on Josh Hart. That is an insult to Mikal Bridges. The Knicks should play through Mikal. And it is a little tougher to say that when Brunson and Cat have such favorable matchups, but I would still like them to tilt up the volume of Mikal's offense just a little bit. OG Anunoby, obviously a disaster of a finish for him. I think it was hard because he wasn't really involved. Didn't take a shot the whole first quarter, if I'm remembering correctly. That was tough. Did get that dunk, did get a block in transition, and then got hot during the 14-0 run, like the ISO 3 on Benedict Mathurin. We saw Saucy OG, back in Aura OG, whatever you want to call him, between the legs, three in Mathurin's eye, and then a post up again with Brunson out. Bully ball, one-handed banker on Mathurin. That was beautiful. And then cap the run with by running in transition and getting that Euro step lay on Tyrese Halliburton. That was exceptional. His low man D was really good. I'm going to talk about it more tomorrow, so I don't want to belabor the point, but it is really helpful. It is the one benefit of getting him off the ball that he can rotate down low. Josh Hart, I feel like I talked a lot about him. The only thing I'm going to say about Josh Hart is that I cannot overstate enough. I think it's very stupid that Indiana is treating him like a shooter. And I think the Knicks starters will maybe get played off the floor if they decide to stop treating him like a shooter, even though he's been shooting well in these playoffs. I would dare him to make threes, and I'm surprised Rick Carlisle did not do that. I wonder if that is a game 2 adjustment. Deuce McBride, despite not shooting great, I thought was exceptional in this one. Consistently pushing pace, consistently creating easy shots for the Knicks. And again, just money in that fourth quarter run. I think he should have closed this game over Josh Hart, period. Campaign, infectious energy, did not shoot the ball well. He should have played in the second half. He should get more than 10 minutes. Even though he was not good, first couple of possessions, stupid fouls that plagued him all playoffs. I think energy is a thing. Vibes are a thing. I think where this Indiana team feels like a team of destiny is because everyone's involved. Everyone is confident. And the Knicks, you've heard it from me and Begley, do not always have ideal chemistry. I think campaign helps a lot with that. Mitchell Robinson, I only have a minute left. And Mitchell Robinson deserves 10 minutes because he is having the best offensive rebounding playoffs ever on a permanent basis. 39% offensive rebounding rate for the Knicks when he is on the floor. Comes in first possession, gets one. Next possession gets another one. Switches on to Hallie. Swats his three. I mentioned his defense at the end. Something he's gotten so much better at just the last 2 seasons. Offensive rebounding and spraying it out. Got one, hit Deuce for a 3 in the corner. That was awesome. The lob dunk was awesome. Stopped Halliburton 2 more times in the second half. End of the first quarter, picks TJ McConnell's pocket on a drive, not even on him. It was just a side swipe. Incredible hustle at one point, running the floor off of an OG brick to deflect a board off of Aaron Nesmith. Mitch plays his butt off. Only 21 minutes in this game. I wish he could play more. I don't know if he's physically capable of playing more at the pace the Indiana Pacers are setting. It is really, really challenging for Mitch, even though he's in great shape. It is just tough for any center to play at that pace. So that is it for game one. This is not the only episode we have coming tomorrow. We have a more forward-looking episode from Bailey Lau. He's just fantastic. I think it is a really good episode. I hope you guys listen to that tomorrow morning, but until then, be good. We'll talk to you very soon here on Locked On Knicks.